From the hills of Mbale, we are here together to discuss another very important and passionate topic from the CMC Law Media team. A good afternoon to you all, dear esteemed viewers. My name is Lemmy Frank, and I shall be the moderator for today's discussion. And we are going to discuss so many various aspects of the law, right from the culture, the FGM, the inheritance rights, and so many other various things as the discussion proceeds. Without any waste of time, I'd like to delve into what brought us here today. But before I go there, allow me to introduce my guests today, from my right to my left, or from my left to my right, either way. You're welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. My name is Simon. Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Simon Hillary, appearing on this important platform. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Hillary.
My name is Babu Bashir, year 3 student at Islamic University in Uganda, Faculty of Law, and it is my pleasure to have a discussion on this topic.
Hello everyone, my name is Abraham Martin. I am privileged to be here. We shall be sharing as we go on about culture and the law, how they transpire. I hope it turns out to be beneficial. Thank you.
Hello everyone, Innocent Salwagaba is my name. I'm humbled to be part of this member discussion, and I hope to share a lot of my ideas with you guys as we go on.
Greetings to you all. My name is Musasizi Martin, and I'm glad to be here with all these discussants to share with you what we have. Thank you.
Greetings to you all. Simba David Harrison is my name. I'm a law student and a naturalist. I'm glad to be here today. Thank you.
Okay. Important to note is that Uganda is a country with diverse cultures, diverse traditions, numerous people from different areas. Cultures differ from community to community. What may be culture in my community may be something else in another person's community. However, we are here to discuss something to do with what is it like in your area? What is it like where you come from? And what is it like? What is the law saying about how your culture goes about things? First and foremost, before I waste much time, I'd like to welcome Simba David to give us an introduction on the culture and the law.
Thank you. I'll first begin with culture. These are behaviors, literally. Behaviors in different societies, how people conduct themselves, and it is different. It is very different regarding every society. You can look in the issues, the Baganda, Banyankole, even in different countries. We have Somalia, we have Americans, we have USA, we have Uganda, South Africa. So it is particularly different, though there are some similarities, but in most cases it is different. When it comes to the law develops, and I think this is the greatest effect that culture is facing. Culture is static, it is static in nature. It does not change. It is something that is carried on for years and generations. But the law develops for it is not static. And here it comes to streamline such behaviors in every society so that we are all harmonized, so that people are not let out. I will refer to the Constitution of Uganda, that is 1995. Article 2 recognizes all such behaviors or culture, provided it is not inconsistent. However, there are those ones that are inconsistent and have been challenged in the High Court, in the Supreme Court and Constitutional Court. Some of them, like laws on FGM, laws on bride price, different laws on particular culture, has been affected by decisions of courts.
Thank you. Just one question before we go any further. If you, in your introduction, I got to understand that you say culture is static and is not subject to any change. Do you believe that the law, as well, in so many different aspects, in one way or the other, is static as well?
The law is static in some nature, but it always caters for the past, future, and the current generations. Apart from culture, culture is static in such a way that it doesn't change. Your sons, your predecessors, other people will come after you. They all follow the same culture. But the law, with change of society and development, it changes so that it captures both culture and development. It comes them together.
Anyway, the discussion of culture and the law is similar to that of the egg and the hen. Which one came first? Did the egg come first or did the hen come first? Let us discover more as we dive into an aspect he hinted on, for instance, the female genital mutilation. Over the first few years, we have realized that many women groups, many women law advocacy NGOs and all that have come out openly to oppose what is commonly known as the FGM. The FGM can be loosely described as the cutting of the female clitoris. Are that the clitoris? The cutting of the clitoris of the women for reasons which I do not know. In that same regard, let us straight up ask one of the panelists to share their view on FGM. You're welcome, George.
Thank you very much. Like I said earlier, I am privileged to be here sharing with you my opinion, particularly about female genital mutilation. For female genital mutilation, we definitely know it is all about cutting the genitalia of a woman. Previously, when you look at the society, definitely in Uganda, you get to know that this happens amongst the Kalenjin tribes, the Sebe. However, when you look at it, you personally as a human, is it really something that is good? To my opinion, I don't feel it is something nice. Yes, so here comes the law that at a certain period, the females or the women in Uganda at some point felt like this is like infringing on some of the rights. The right which is against, remember our constitution under Article 33 provides for a right to women. So the rights of women. So by the time you do such practices, it's like you're depriving them of some of these rights. When you look at the Kalenjin, what are some of their arguments? Some of them say it is by doing this female genital mutilation, you are doing it to reduce the libido of a woman, such that she cannot move from this man to this man to this man, which definitely I would agree, yes, but is it one of the ways you can try to avoid this? We've seen other cultures that have, of course, definitely tried to use other means to avoid this. Another practice, or for another reason, they will say they do it to fit in society. Definitely, between them, you'll find that circumcised women, once they're circumcised, they are referred to as Zida Kipsigis, to mean like we the circumcised. But basically, according to me, it is not right. So the Female Genital Mutilation Act came in when the women petitioned this to the Constitutional Court, asking that it is against the rights of a woman. So after 2010, in anyone who's found being the female genital mutilation is liable for a penalty which is provided under the Act. They are classified definitely under those who are punishable for the law. Those are people who abet it. By abetting and aiding, I mean those who support it. Those who try to procure. There are those people who try to, there are those who do it themselves. Still, you can be penalized for this, amongst others. Then there are those, the aggravated female genital mutilation. Out of the acts, as you're practicing this, one, if someone who has authority over you does it, for example, your parent, for example, maybe your relative that has authority over you does it, if this act leads to your death. However, there is also another, if this act ends up causing you from attaining certain diseases such as HIV, we term it as aggravated. Thus, it leads to a punishment which is liable by the law for life imprisonment. I have a lot to share, but for the interest of time, I think I beg to stop there.
Just to chip in a little, I mean, these are women cultured for that matter. Women who believe in their culture. And one thing we're going to agree upon is that culture comes for the better good and the greater good of the community that people are living in. If these women consent to the female genital mutilation, is it in any case a violation of their human rights still? Because I believe consent is a defense to every criminality.
Well, basically, we see it is not that every law that is provided for the women, it is to their interest. Some of these are actually certain times may not be to their interest, but however, it is a demand from the clan. If you don't do it, for example, the issues, if you're not circumcised, then you are not a man. So basically, with the Kalenjins, if you don't get circumcised, if your genitalia is not removed, then you are not considered a woman in their culture. Otherwise, I don't see it as something that is right or that is good according to them. Though some of them believe it is good, we definitely have different opinion about it.
Can you give me a brief status quo of the happenings right now after the 2010 amendment of the FGM Act, and that before? What is it like? Has there been an increase in sexual crimes in Sebei region, or has there been a decrease in sexual crimes, or what is it like today in that region? Have these people changed? Is there any change that is seen by the fact that this habit stopped? If at all it has stopped anyway, because one thing I'm quite sure about is Uganda is quick to make laws, but very slow to implement them. Has it been implemented in any case?
Well, basically, for the issue of implementation, yes, we've had a few cases where, before that, I would like to remind you that even some of the Karamojongs do practice this. There's a case where Karamojong was penalized for being female genital mutilation. Also, the Kalenjins around Kapchorwa, they have been penalized, so the law follows. Besides that, yes, you asked me about the increase. Is there an increase in sexual crime and so on?
Prostitution.
Naturally, you definitely know that we all have the urge. Different people go to indulge in these sexual acts for different reasons.
Maybe if at all I didn't get you right, you spoke about the urge being taken away by the fact that these clitoris are cut off. These things are cut off. Now, sexuality, unfortunately, none of us is a sexual health expert,
yes.
but we can. I would like to invite one of the panelists to chip in a little and give me their view on in regards to sexuality. Let me invite Martin to give me something about sexuality in this regard.
Thank you very much. So, in regards to sexuality, everyone is different. Every person, every individual is different. So we cannot generalize it. But in terms of what my colleague was talking about, in terms of their culture, the Kalenjin having maybe more prostitution or whatever sexual activities happening there, that we cannot tell. But one thing we can say is that the aspect of female genital mutilation is not something we are supposed to cherish. And as he has talked about it, but for sexuality, every individual is different. Every person is different, and the way their body reacts to the environment is quite different. So I believe that we cannot generalize it into one thing because of that aspect. I don't know if that answers the question.
It is actually okay with like that. However, I can imagine the kind of pain these girls go through, because honestly, if male circumcision is that painful, I usually see toddlers, babies crying. I don't know if the crying is to show that they are not in consent of their circumcision. I don't know if there is any law that protects these children from this circumcision. I believe it should be something that should be checked on. I mean, the children react by crying in a way of negating the fact that they are being circumcised against their will. And I believe they should be let to grow, and if they wish to circumcise, so be it. Anyway, let's go further and let's proceed with our discussion. We're also going to talk about inheritance. We have had the discussion of FGM, and usually, if at all you are a girl and you refuse to go through this, you are excommunicated from the community. You cease being a member of this community. You cease being part of these people because you have acted like an enemy, you have acted like an adui, you have acted like someone who is against their culture. And no one fights culture. When you fight culture, you're fighting your own people. Who shoots their own leg in a war, in a battlefield? No one does that. Let me proceed with the issue of inheritance. What is it like for women to inherit? Do women inherit property? Do women own property? Where I come from in Arua, women are actually property themselves. Women are property of their fathers and the clan leaders, in that a marriage is negotiated between the father and the intended husband or the husband's people without the consent of the girl. I don't know if this is really.
And we want to believe that nobody should come after you for a civil litigation for having referred to women as property.
Well. Let me, straight before I lose track, let me dive into the issue of inheritance. Do women inherit property? Do they have any inheritance rights? Are they simply beneficiaries to the inheritance? Do they simply have a share of what is decided is to be theirs? Or they actually can take the lion's share? Or they can actually stand up and be the heir and sole supervisor of the estates that their fathers or their parents have left behind? Is it possible? How is it like in your communities? Let me invite Serete to come and give me something on this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. In that regard, well, according to our culture, the Bagwere, women do not inherit property. And I remember it was a meeting at home where my father was, with the sisters, and they were discussing about some, property issues. And then my father, the sisters were like, also us, the ladies would like to, get some bit of, share of that land. And my father nearly beat up, the sisters just because of, telling them that we also need something that we can inherit. But that is our position in our culture, though I do not know about other cultures. But I think it is also the same in other cultures that women do not inherit property. And I think that that one is it's very unfair. And because when you look at the law, when you look at Article 21 of the Constitution, it clearly provides for equality between man and woman, both sexes. And then when you look at the Succession Act in that regard, it also provides for, it also provides for the ladies getting a share, provided they are legally married, to the man. So for them, it's like they have, it's 15% of the share, and then 75 normally goes to, the children. So in all cultures, specifically ours, in the Bagwere, the women do not inherit property, except when they are only married, legally married to the man, and when the children are female. Sorry, when the children are still maybe young, then they can also inherit.
In your view, do you support this? Do you think women should not inherit property? Do you feel like women are not worthy of inheritance of the property?
Well,
in your view, without the law, in your self-reasoning?
Well, in my view, I think it's very unfair to say that women should not inherit.
Let me chip in, Sabagao, briefly. Do you think women should inherit property? I believe you two are from the same area. Do you think women should inherit property?
Well, in my own personal view, women should inherit property because leave alone the law that Article 26 of the Constitution that allows each and every individual the right to own and have and possess property. But personally, I also think women should own their own property because if they have worked for it or they are entitled to, have a share, why shouldn't they have?
What is that aspect that negates the fact that women are not supposed to own property? Why do cultures feel like women do not own property? Is it the fact that they're going to get married and go to their husbands' places?
Maybe to cut you short, from time memorial, different, I don't want to call them barbaric cultures, but different cultures have been having it that a woman also is what? Property. Therefore, property can't own property. But now things have changed.
I love that statement.
Things have
Property
changed.
can't own property.
Things have
That
changed.
has been it for me. However, let me ask that question back to Serete. Can women be heirs to estates? Do they have this rights and responsibility in that they can be the heir to their deceased's property?
Well, to
In
answer,
administration of it for maybe another or for their own benefit?
to answer that question, in my own view, I think women can inherit property, and they can be legal. They can be legal heirs to that property, because when you look at the setup right now, you are going to find out that we have mothers that are raising children without fathers. You know, they have been there, they have worked for this. So I think they can also be in possession of inheriting that property and then keeping it for their children. I'll also give an example. In our own culture, for example, maybe in our own family, my father passed on in 2017. But when he was bequeathing the property, at that time we were all still minors. He bequeathed it to the mother, to our mother. And he was like, your mother is the one who is going to hold this property until that time, maybe when we are done with school, then she will be the one to do what? To pass it on after we are done with school. So I don't see any reason that can refuse women to inherit property or administer it, except maybe if they have unsound mind and some other reasons. But women can do it.
Thank you very much. Basing from the story given to us by Serete and identifying that a single mother like his was able to administer the estates and property of his late father, then women, in his view, can be heirs. I now get from where his point of view is coming from, and I believe the law should cater for women, which it has, I believe. Yes, it has now, and women now have rights to property ownership. Women also have rights to being heirs to the property and all this kind of stuff. But my question still runs down to, when they do this, let me invite Bashir to answer this direct. He's one of the most liberal people I know. And this question deserves a liberal man. On assessment, feminists say what a man can do, a woman does better. Do you believe that a woman can run the estates as much as equal to as a man will run them? With the management, with the emotional imbalances. I usually see memes on Twitter that when you see a woman, run. These people who bleed and do not die. You know, all these kind of things. So what is your view? Do you think they are worthy of? Can they execute the duty? Or we expect failure, we expect loss of property, we expect so many other things. What are the negatives of women being heirs to property?
Right, that is true. I will speak from two backgrounds. One, being Muganda, and two, being a Muslim, which translates to be culture in some parts of the world. So, looking at women being able to run estates of the deceased, yes, we have very many vivid examples in Uganda. I would only refer to one. Is it the chairperson or the president of the Uganda Manufacturers Association, the daughter to the late Murana? And since she's in that particular position where her father also was, and I have not heard of any complaints of mismanagement, if any. No, I have not heard of them anyway. But nevertheless, you know, talking about culture, this now derives from the fact that women themselves have done a disservice to what we would have thought of them as regards to inheritance and this. I want to believe the best purpose for the women not inheriting property is to do with their marriage, because it is believed in most of the cultures that this woman will at one time marry, and when she marries, she will then adopt the culture that comes with her husband. So, where will the estate of the deceased be left? But nevertheless, women inheriting property, I see no problem with it, though I would. And by the way, looking at culture itself, it does not bar women from inheriting property. For example, in Buganda, where I come from, these women inherit property, but not as the opposite gender does inherit the property. Maybe one thing I know of is the woman will not become heir to the deceased.
They call
of
it
which
what? Musika.
or Musika, yeah, in
yes,
where
Musika.
I come from in Buganda. So I want to believe that this time around, I want to concur with the law that the heir does not necessarily translate to being the administrator of a property per se.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective it has given us as a Muganda and as a Muslim.
So in that same plight, yes, a woman can be an administrator of the property, but the men can now go on and be the heir, because it takes a lot. A lot comes with one being heir.
Why can't a woman be here?
One, being a heir has a lot of culture attached to it. In where I come from in Buganda, we are attached to different kinds of clans, of which when a woman now gets married to another man elsewhere, she will not go to that particular clan, but as the Western world has now made it, a woman at times even takes on the name of the husband when they are married. So that will in itself translate that this particular woman has now changed from one clan to another. So just imagine this woman was the heir in a different clan. How would that be? I would like to applaud our great-grandfathers for such kind of knowledge, that they envisaged such things, of which at times I get to rub the wrong way with the law when it thinks otherwise.
And where does this put Article 21 of the Constitution?
Yes, Article 21 of the Constitution is a making of, per se, somebody who we don't even know what kind of culture they subscribe to. Yes,
Are you doubting
I would want to
Benjamin
believe.
Ndoki's culture?
No, I would want to believe that they say we are in the preamble, meaning all of us are from Uganda. But when these people were traversing to collect ideas from these people, did they in a way relate different aspects of culture vis-a-vis what they wanted to put within the law, and which I would think, you know how things are done in Uganda, so which I would think was not covered. But nevertheless, our great-grandfathers had good thoughts to ponder on this. So I would like the law now to address a fact whereby a lady now who is here in one clan has now gotten married to somebody else, and they have taken on the name of the husband, and now they belong to another clan. So what would be left of the clan from where they came from?
I think that is one thing for thought now. When you get married to another man and you carry on his name, do you still think you should be here? Many feminists outside there be complaining and shouting to the top of their voices and saying what a woman can do, what a man can do, a woman can do better. And Council Bashir has raised a very important question. When you marry off and go to another culture and take on your husband's name, what happens to your origin? Do you still think you can be here? That is a question I'll leave for you to ponder about. Moving on further, I'd like to ask Council Bashir one more time, just before I move on to the next person. As a human being, as an advocate for human rights, as a person who looks at rights from an informed perspective, do you think, I mean, what is your view of this entire hair inheritance thing? What is it for you? What is it calling for culture and vis-a-vis the law?
With me, I would like to think that the law in itself is a making of the Western world. Yes, the law, I'm referring to the statutes we have, I'm referring to the constitution we have. That's why we have something like common law. We subscribe to common law. You get? So, in that same perspective, we have domestified laws from the Western world, which have a different set of culture as compared to the culture we have here. That's why.
But that is why there was a constitutional commission, which was constituent of each and every member of a district at that time was part of that constitutional amendment. There was a delegate from every district,
Definitely.
which was I think meant for people to give equal ideas about their various cultures in regards to the constitution that is being made for the country.
Definitely, but I think now, if it was that way, they approached the wrong people. We have people who are in charge of culture. We have different cultural people. You know, the Western world has tried to sell to us that African culture is barbaric in a way. Talking about FGM, like my colleague had spoken about it. Yes. They view it as barbaric. From Buganda, where I happen to be from, there is something referred to as labia elongation.
Yes.
No, labia. Labia elongation. In Buganda, it is referred to as opchalidensi. It had some...
Let me ask you a question. Do you think it's barbaric?
No, I don't think it is barbaric because of the advantages attached to it.
It is not barbaric. Say that one more time. Do you think it is barbaric?
It is not barbaric in a way.
Okay.
And by the way, talking about this, I've had very many cultures come up to embrace it. Okay. And very many ladies, by the way, it is the talk of town. So very many ladies ask, have you done it? You know what? It is good for your sexuality. I liked one narrative from Ewana Stella Nyazi. You know, I would like to believe that she's well versed with all the things to do with sexuality.
Yes, she is.
She has attained some kind of knowledge in that aspect of life. Yes. Yeah. She's learned in a way. So, if some people agree to the fact that they need female genital mutilation, and they even go ahead and subscribe to it, I know when these women who call themselves feminists took time off to go and ask their colleagues from Sabiniland as to why they would not want to go on with this aspect of culture. You know, these ladies who go to town and adopt the Western world culture have done a very big disservice to what we hold of culture. It is no wonder we have a big topic in LGBT, and we shall still have more topics in what I would are you
in support of the FGM?
Exactly. If the people in Sabiniland would want to subscribe to it for the reasons they attach to it, and which reasons? For example, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, one of the biggest achievements he has had attached to his name is the fighting of HIV/AIDS.
True. That's very
right. Now, the world is rippling and fighting tooth and nail on issues of inheritance. You know, in Uganda, you know, it is where a man we will discover, we the mourners will discover that out of the 17 children, this gentleman only had 2 children. So things like that were the reason as why our great-grandfathers from Sabiniland and all the other people like Mr. Dekalenjin, those are things that our great-grandfathers envisaged. And I would like to believe that that is a very befitting description of what is referred to as common sense. They use their common sense to view such things. That's why LGBT was not a discussion then, but it is a strong discussion now, because somebody has come and told us, you know what you're doing is barbaric, but sleeping with a fellow man is not barbaric. Come on, we shall not have to subscribe to the same. That's why for things like
this is very interesting.
For things like polygamy, FGM, labia elongation, because the people also love them for particular reasons. Yes. You know, these ladies sitting in AC, they are sitting in AC, you know, she's land, she's castle. She believes all other people have to think the way she does. No, you come from somewhere.
I see your neighbor is boiling with a lot of...
Definitely.
He is boiling with a lot of fury. Let me give him a chance to negate what you're saying.
Somehow I would concur with a little of what he's saying. The little being, yes, to some point the FGM is okay. Yes, it tries to reduce the prospect of us getting involved and coming to see that the LGBT also exists man to man. However,
what is the relation between this FGM and the LGBTQ?
The LGBTQ, I will take it back to, particularly here we shall handle the lesbians, right?
Yes.
Because it is the female genital mutilation. The lesbians. Lesbianism is like having sexual intercourse with a fellow woman, or using these other items. They call them, is it dildos, banana, like you are saying, machine, eggplants, whatever. Yeah. FGM tries to...
Is lesbianism an African thing?
No, not really. It has never been an African thing.
Okay. What happens to the chiefs who married 4-5 women and slept with them in the same...
You're talking about polygamy.
That one goes...
In the polygamy setting, how was it done? How did this man have to please all the 5 women?
Now, let me bring it to you in simple terms.
That kind of...
You see the Manyatas in Karamoja?
Yes.
So let's imagine that kind of setup.
Yes.
So this gentleman had a hat. A hat. So each lady had their day. You get? So how would this gentleman now be wake up one day to find out that out of the 17 children he had, he would have only 4 as his rightfully as his children. Talk about that. You have 4 or 5 wives. Why then would you see another man attractive? Tell me why. You can't.
Oh, the question was, why would another man see you attractive?
The women. Oh, you have this man. By the way, I don't know. Nowadays is when we have these singers and kojas selling these doses to enhance sexuality in people.
Yes.
But by then a man had his 7 wives and without any enhancement. But these days you find the gentleman has only 1 wife, but he is chewing Morondo, he's having what else do they use? Morondo, Viagra, this and this.
Drinks,
exactly. And now, since this woman cannot be satisfied by this gentleman, she will now go in for a dildo. You get? And now from dildo, she will now see that there is no importance in this man. So they can enjoy this dildo with a fellow woman. Exactly. So funny things like that.
Interesting discussion, I guess. And I believe. Now, coming back to